Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody who joins us. Ukraine Media Center Ukraine Forum continues its operation today. My name is Hala Atamanova. It is year 10 of the war, and today is day 428 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor. And now we will be talking about the challenges, the additional challenges that some of the regions of our country are facing. I mean flooding. I want to introduce our speakers today. It's Ilya Prevoshchikov, head of the Hydrological Forecast Department at the Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Center of the State Emergency Service, and Alexander Khorunzhy, press officer of the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. Mr. Ilya, so what's the situation for the time being, and what are the forecasts as to the flood? Thank you. Good afternoon. So as of this morning, we were observing this following situation. We observed the water level to go down at Dnipro level, but the flow capacity through the water reservoirs results in announcements of red alert state in Cherkasy region with possible negative events of the mass nature. The level of threat orange is announced in Kirovohrad, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Mykolaiv regions. In Kyiv, the water level goes up, but it's a result of the technological operation of Kyiv hydraulic power plant. So the denizens of Kyiv shouldn't get nervous, because the peak of the flooding fell on the 17th of April this month. So now we're observing the stable gradual decrease of the water level in Kyiv region. The same situation is in Chernihiv region. In the Desna River, the level falls 2 to 6 centimeters per day. We expect maybe some increase of the water level in Desna River in the beginning of May. There may be minor flooding of the plain territories in Kyiv, Chernihiv, and Novgorod-Siversky districts. Also worth mentioning that we see the flooding developing in the rivers of Transcarpathian region, in the rivers of Dniester and Transcarpathia. The water flooding resulted in water level going up in water reservoirs in Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions, with probable flooding, which may result in announcement of orange level of threat in Kherson region. So as to the forecast, we are observing rains in Ukraine now. Should we expect the situation to deteriorate or improve? Well, regardless of the precipitations, the flooding is more probable for the eastern part of Ukraine, and as specialists from the Kharkiv Regional Center, which is located in the city of Kharkiv itself, there is a forecast of water levels going up in the eastern parts of Ukraine, in the rivers of Siversky Donetsk and some rivers in the areas adjacent to Azov Sea, but that will not have any mass nature and will be happening only in specific rivers. The precipitations that are about to fall will result in increase of the water level, but it will not result in any critical consequences. I mean, everybody is probably interested in the water level in the Dnipro River, so this amount of precipitations will not result in any negative consequences related to the growth of water level in Dnipro. Thank you, Mr. Ilya. I would like to invite Mr. Alexander Khorunzhy to talk about the consequences of this flooding. So, Mr. Alexander, what are the consequences of this flooding in the regions? And maybe you have some recommendations for the inhabitants of the region where we don't expect the situation to improve shortly. Thank you. According to our operational services, the flooded R7 and 704 households in Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Dnipropetrovsk, Volyn and Kyiv regions. 7 households are flooded in Kyiv region. In Dnipropetrovsk, Chernihiv, Cherkasy and Kyiv regions, there are 84 houses flooded. As to the flooding of agricultural lands, about 20,000 hectares of agricultural lands are flooded, mostly in Volyn region, in Kovel and Kamenka-Shir district. Also in Rivne region, in Sarninsky and Volgogradsky districts. The transport communication with 32 settlements in Chernihiv region was disrupted. However, we create the conditions to make a way around those settlements. The areas of approach are established to those places. As to the operation of the State Emergency Service, we continue monitoring the situation with the use of UAVs, and the operations group are working in complicated areas such as in Chernihiv and Cherkasy regions, and only within the last day we pumped more than 2,000 cubic meters of water, and since the beginning of the seasonal works we pumped more than 56,000 cubic meters of water from the households and local areas. We delivered meals to those affected by flooding, and more than 100 people were transported through the water obstacles. 27 people were evacuated from the flooded houses. We engaged more than 1,400 rescuers and 650 units of material. So we are ready to any development of the situation. We are in constant coordination with Hydrological and Meteorological Center of Ukraine, and we have created 4 stations of aid distribution in the villages of Yatuty, Dniprovsky, and village of Rati, and another station in the village of Khryshchatek in Cherkasy region. It serves as the base for material and rescuers, which are ready to provide any support and aid in case of necessity, so people can get potable water and meals. We see this horrific footage. People end up in water traps. What should people do in situations like that? What is your advice? Well, the situation is as follows. We expect the water level to fall, because fighting the water element is not always easy, but we can rescue people, we can help them with potable water and food rations, we can pump that water from their households where it is possible, but some large-scale flooding, they have to subside themselves. The situation is under control, which is confirmed by the Ukrainian Hydrological and Meteorological Center. There are some problematic areas in the basins of river of Dnipro and Desna in Chernihiv region, but generally the situation is under control. Thank you for this information. Dear colleagues, if you have any questions on the floor, please. Victoria Shevchenko, Ukrinform. My question is about the demining. How many water reservoirs were demined, and are there much left still to demine? The total area which is potentially contaminated in Ukraine amounts to 174,000 square kilometers, which equals to almost 30% of the total area of the country, and out of them about 54,000 square kilometers belong to the equatories of the water reservoirs, but part of those equatories is being demined along with the lands. Obviously, priority is the objects of facilities of critical infrastructures, such as waterways, railways, and automobile transport roads along with the agricultural lands, but at the same time demining of the aquatories of the water reservoirs is underway too. This water is not quick, it takes more time than the works of the pyrotechnics on the land, because such equipment as underwater drones is necessary and it's available to us. The diver pyrotechnics need to submerge and to demine the areas, but the work is in progress and it will continue being in progress further on. Thank you. Yesterday we know that the occupiers shelled Mykolaiv. If you have any operational information about the rescue works which are still underway or have already ended, please tell us about that. Yes, we received the signal today in the night about the shelling of the historic buildings in Mykolaiv, and the fire team set off to the site right away, attempting to put out the fire. And I want to say that at one facility the fire was put out in the area of 100 square meters. That's in fact a residential building, and another one was in the area of 500 square meters, and there was a destruction of one-story building as a result of shelling. 6 persons were injured and 1 more killed. In that residential building that I mentioned, we know about 17 casualties, 17 people injured, and including 1 child. What works were done? We deblocked the people who were unable to leave the building by themselves, and unfortunately that person who was killed, the rescuers pulled them from under the debris and transported from that destroyed house. More than 100 rescuers were taking part in the operation on clearing the debris, and the works are currently over on that site. Thank you for this information, thank you for joining our broadcast, and right now our team is working on the schedule of our briefings for tomorrow, so follow our announcements. Bear with us, trust in our armed forces, and glory to Ukraine.